The following interview is being conducted as part of the Price of Freedom project by the Madison County Military Heritage Commission to inform our community of the sacrifices made by those in the military around the world. We wish to thank the Huntsville School System and the ETV Broadcast Center for their help in presenting this military heritage program. Hello everyone, I'm Tom Kennemer. Welcome to our program. Today we'll be talking with U.S. Army Sergeant First Class Jeremy Thompson. Sergeant Thompson is the recipient of the Soldier's Medal for his heroism while risking his life to help pull a wrecked victim from a burning vehicle in 2013. The Soldier's Medal is awarded to members of the U.S. Army for heroism not involving a conflict with an enemy. Sergeant Thompson has served 19 years in the Army and currently serves full-time with the Alabama National Guard. He was inducted into the Madison County Military Hall of Heroes in 2014. Sergeant Thompson, it's good to see you, sir.
Good morning.
Thank you for being with us. Appreciate your time. Yeah. I understand you are a native of this area. Was it Fayetteville area?
Yes, sir.
Where you grew up?
Born in Huntsville, Alabama in 1979, but raised in Lincoln County, South Lincoln County, near the Alabama-Tennessee state line.
Went to
Lincoln County High School, yes, sir. Graduate in 1998.
I see. Now, do you have family members in the military, your dad or uncles?
So both my grandfathers, on my father's side, World War II combat medic, and my grandfather on my mother's side was a longtime infantryman, started as a young man in Korea, and I think he was at 26 years at retirement, but he had 3 or 4 tours in Vietnam, but long career as an infantryman.
All in the Army?
All Army, yes, sir.
Oh, yeah, okay. So that's where the U.S. Army comes from.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I actually considered the Marine Corps at one time, but
really?
I went Army because both of my grandfathers and 2 of my uncles were all Army branch or Army component.
Semper Fi.
Yes, sir.
When did you first start thinking about being a part of the military? I guess growing up with your dad, you know, and your uncles and everything, you maybe at a young age.
I can recall being a 5, 6-year-old boy and getting my grandparents or anybody that would take me to the local Army surplus store here in Huntsville and buying patches and military attire, and I'd wear that stuff to school sometimes.
Yeah.
And I could remember as far back as being 5 years old that was something that I wanted to do one day.
Kind of collected them all.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. You still have a lot
I
of them?
still do.
Still
yes,
good.
sir.
Yeah. Something to hold on to. Yeah. So what was the deciding factor, though? I know your family members were involved with the Army, but what was the deciding factor from the Army from other branches of service?
Yeah, so in high school, many people do what they call career interest inventories. And every time I filled one of those things out, it directed me towards being a firefighter, a police officer, a paramedic, or to join one branch of the military. So I was able to be a volunteer firefighter as a senior in high school. I worked as a corrections officer at the local sheriff's department, and then I went to EMT advanced school at night at Motlow Community College in Fayetteville, and got my EMT certification. I thought I'd live my career, live a career of fire and EMS, but I wanted to add to it, so I was working at the ambulance service out of Lincoln County, and I had a guy that worked there that talked to me. His name was Phil Rogers, and he'd been in the Alabama National Guard for a number of years in the 20th Special Forces Group, which at the time I didn't know a whole lot about, but they jumped out of airplanes, and that was appealing to me. So
that was exciting.
Yes, sir.
Right.
So went and talked to a couple of the full-timers down there, the active duty members of that unit. And
what age were you, Jeremy?
Probably 20.
Okay, yeah.
And they said, we've got a military intelligence analyst position in our battalion S2 shop. And you can get a top secret security clearance and do really neat things at the tactical and strategic level in a special forces element. So I said, I'm gonna go with that. That seems like an appealing training avenue. So.
Did you have an idea at that time that you might make it a career?
No, to be honest, when I went through my initial entry training, I went to basic training like everybody else does.
Where did you go?
I went to Fort Jackson, South Carolina for basic training.
Right.
And then I was in a holding pattern to go to Fort Huachuca, Arizona because my security clearance had not had time to come through yet. As you know, that takes many months, and a lot of interviews have to take place to make sure that's right. And I got a phone call saying that they were going to put me in a holdover battalion pending my transfer to Fort Huachuca, which is the Army Intelligence Center. Well, I had airborne in my contract out of Fort Benning, Georgia, so my unit did some work back here at home, and they cut orders for me to go from my basic training location to airborne school So I went from basic training to airborne school, and then to intelligence training school.
Couldn't wait to jump out of planes, right?
Yeah, couldn't wait for it. It was an exciting part of my training, and I don't regret a minute of it. I'll tell you, I was in Fort Huachuca, Arizona, when the World Trade Centers were attacked and the Pentagon. So I came back home and applied to be a Tennessee State Trooper. So my thoughts were I would be a reserve component M-Day intelligence analyst for the Special Forces Unit out of Huntsville here, and be a Tennessee State Trooper. That was what was on my mind at the time. But shortly thereafter, I was offered an opportunity to be full-time, what they call Title 32 active duty, and that's where I've been ever since 2004.
I see, yeah. Now, how many jumps have you made, Jeremy?
I think I'm somewhere around 30, maybe just under 30 at this point.
Any close calls where anything where you're injured, sprained an ankle, or anything like that?
Yeah, actually, we jumped in Harvest, Alabama here. We had a man named, his last name was Ruff, and they called the drop zone Ruff DZ. RUFF, I think.
Yeah, okay.
And we jumped out of Chinook helicopters that day, and I knew when we exited the aircraft that we weren't over our normal drop zone. It wasn't the first time I had jumped it, and we ended up in a neighborhood. So I come down over the top of a lady's house, and she happened to be out in the backyard, startled her, and I hit the backyard, but at the edge of the backyard was a barbed wire fence, and I ended up tangled up in that barbed wire fence.
Did you get cut up?
It cut me a little bit, but nothing
What, the wind direction?
Yes, sir.
Caught you? Okay.
Yes, sir. Those things are designed to have you on the ground ready to fight in under a minute. So we jump at about 1,200 feet.
I see.
And from the time you exit the aircraft to the time you're on the ground, they want that to be in the ballpark of 1 minute. So.
I bet that first time you jumped out was exciting.
I remember getting on the aircraft with a bunch of other soldiers after they had run us to death for about 2 weeks. And the third week of airborne school is jump week. And I said, all I wanted to do was jump out of an airplane and have people quit running me and PTing me to death. But I do recall when that airplane took off at Fort Benning that you look out the windows, the small windows out of a military aircraft, and you say, what have I gotten myself into? You don't get to land that aircraft, you get to jump out of it. So yeah, it's definitely something you need to overcome psychologically to be able to do.
Excuse me. It's something that you probably never forget, that first jump, you know.
Right.
Vivid memories of it.
I actually had a Marine Corps stick sergeant, and he was an E5, I was an E1, and he jumped first and I jumped second, and when we hit the ground, I can remember him being extremely excited, and he said, I don't care what they say at this point, we're airborne. You have to have 5 qualifying jumps to get qualified, but he didn't care. That first jump was good enough for him.
Passed the test, right?
Yes, sir.
Now, how many, do you have to make a certain amount of jumps each year?
It's quarterly, so you have to make 1 jump quarterly to maintain what they call proficiency, and you get paid an extra $150 a month to maintain that proficiency in an airborne unit.
How long did all of the training take before you're back home? And, you know, your boot camp? And
So I recall leaving in early April and coming home in late December, and obviously that was after the September 11th attacks on the country. So my unit had already been alert mobilized to deploy to Afghanistan as a part of what was initially stood up by 5th Special Forces Group as Task Force Dagger.
I see. Jeremy, let's go into, tell us about that day in July of 2013 when you helped save a man's life by pulling him from a burning vehicle.
Yes,
Tell us about that event.
I had left my office to go get lunch, as I recall.
This was here in Huntsville.
Here in Huntsville on Airport Road. And I went to the Chick-fil-A restaurant. My intent was just to get it and go back to my office and eat. And as I was on my way back, just before you get to the Parkway, there at Balmoral, the railroad tracks there,
Right.
I was at the red light, and I was looking straight ahead, but I heard what sounded to be an explosion. So I looked off to my left, and a truck at full speed had hit a line of vehicles, and I think there was a total of maybe 7 or 8 vehicles involved, bumper to bumper, as that truck crashed into them. But it obviously had the heaviest amount of damage. And you know, you're in disbelief when something happens like that right in front of you. It takes you a few seconds to wrap your mind around it, but it didn't look terrible at first glance, and I noticed a Huntsville police officer had pulled up on the accident and activated his emergency lights, and I thought, the fire department's not too far from there, as you know, and I thought, you know, they'll be here shortly, and shouldn't be anything people should be jumping out of their vehicles for at this point. I'll just let emergency services handle it. Shortly after that thought, I noticed a couple of people trying to get to what appeared somebody trapped in the vehicle. And that vehicle erupted in flames from the engine compartment. Well, when that happened, everybody exited the area and left police officer, Huntsville police officer Byron Thompson, by himself trying to get...
No relation?
No relation. Just happened to meet him that day by circumstance. But he was making a valiant effort to get into that vehicle, and I noticed it didn't appear to be happening very easily for him. So
and you're still in your car?
Yes, sir. Seconds, though. I mean, all this happened in seconds. So I jumped out of my vehicle and I ran toward him. And when I got there, the flames were low. They were small, but you could visible. And there was no good exit for that vehicle. It was damaged quite a bit more than I had initially assessed. Yes, sir. So I realized at some point that he was pinned by his knees. You know, the dash had hit so hard it had come back on him. The steering wheel was down over the top of him. He was completely unconscious. So there was no physical way to reach in and grab him and pull him out. So I made a split-second decision to climb in there with him. And I thought if I could get a better hold on him, maybe bear hug him and push off those doors, we might be able to get him out. And you know, the last thing anybody wants to happen is somebody to burn up in a vehicle and get themselves out.
While you're a witness to it,
Yes, sir. So I climbed in the vehicle, and I do recall having a few split-second thoughts of that fire growing larger because it's getting hotter, and I can't see anything. It's getting really smoky inside the vehicle. And I didn't feel like we were making a whole lot of progress. I was communicating with Byron Thompson, or Officer Thompson, quite a bit over those seconds, what seemed like hours. And
could you feel like your hair singeing, or you feel the heat? Of course,
I recall in my mind thinking the only barrier I had was the broken windshield. And at some point that fire started coming in through the top of the windshield, right about where the rearview mirror is, because there was a break from all the damage. And that was my first inclination that the fire's now coming in on the vehicle, on us, over the top of us. And I remember a couple people yelling outside the vehicle, "You need to get out, you need to get out of this vehicle." And I felt like I had it under control psychologically, like I'll know when it's time to get out. I felt that way the whole time for whatever reason.
You kept telling yourself that.
Yes, sir. Constant reminder.
Right.
Like, do this, but remember that. So I grabbed a hold of him and just kept pulling. When I got his upper body free, I thought that was it. And my intent was to hand him over the top of my shoulder to Officer Thompson and other people by the window. And they were struggling as well because the fire was obviously hard on them.
Becoming more fierce.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
So I looked, and his pants had gotten caught on some metal up under the dash, so he wasn't completely free. I remember having to reach back up under the dash and glancing up, and the fire at this point was completely inside the vehicle with us. I don't know, we just, at that point, he was jerked out, and I couldn't hardly see, couldn't hardly breathe, but I made my way to that passenger window, and I remember people grabbing me by the shoulders and pulling me out on the road.
Were you in your fatigues or uniform?
I was in my Army uniform. At the time we called them ACU, Army Combat Uniform, the digital pattern. Yes, sir.
Now, was the driver, was he conscious or semi-conscious?
He was not conscious the entire time. And we believed that maybe that led to the accident in origin, is maybe he experienced a medical emergency.
Okay, now, what was the cause of the wreck again? Was speeding was involved? Is it?
Again, I'm not sure exactly. I never went back and got the determination of the accident, but I think he may have lost consciousness before that accident ever happened. I don't know if it was a
medical
cardiac
emergency,
medical,
or some type,
diabetic, cardiac. I don't know, but.
Well, did he survive okay? And
to my knowledge, he did survive. I checked on him for about the week or two following. As you know, HIPAA's a big thing these days.
Right.
So they don't allow direct access to patient status unless you have direct business. But I do recall them saying that he was in recovery and that he was expected to make.
Did you ever get to meet him after that?
I didn't. I don't even recall the man's name at this point.
Did you talk with Sergeant Thompson, the police officer, anymore after this event? Or?
Yes, sir. We spoke quite a bit over the next week or two. and reflected on how critical we thought that situation was. But and we've stayed in touch since then. We'll exchange Facebook messages or see each other in town.
Maybe have a lunch if you have an opportunity or something.
Sure,
like that.
I'd love to meet back up with him. Yeah.
Now, what about you? Did you suffer any injuries?
So when the initial impact occurred, there was lots of broken glass, as you could imagine, and I can remember as I was throwing my hands up under his backside, trying to get him off the seat and out from under the steering wheel and stuff. There were shards of glass under there. I didn't feel it at the time, but it did shred up my
adrenaline was going through.
Yeah,
you didn't feel anything.
It cut up the tops of my fingers and hands pretty good. But
did you have to go to the hospital?
I didn't go to the hospital. The ambulance service was able to treat me on the scene there. They
probably had some glass inside your.
Yeah, after I got home, I spent a little time getting a couple shards of glass out.
Yeah. Was there a split second, Jeremy, when you thought I can be injured or killed or trying to help this person? Did that enter in your mind? I mean, like when you're rushing to help this person, was that going through your mind like I can be killed or I can be injured? And people think, a lot of things go through your mind, but it's just a split second. I wonder what you're thinking about when you're going to try to help a person.
Yeah, I think we're all built differently, Tom.
Yeah.
Our childhood has a lot to do with the way we're built, and I lost my father to an 18-wheeler accident in 1984, and he was 26 years old, and unfortunately burned in that accident. So that was something that was on my mind when I witnessed the wreck occur, but nobody wants to witness somebody burn up in an accident if it can be helped. So it did occur to me that a flashover or an explosion would be something outside my control. I just felt like it was the right thing to do. It had to be done. It needed to be
I think
done.
a lot of us, Jeremy, have thought about something like that. Sometimes maybe when we're driving and see an accident, would I be able to do something like you did and Sergeant Thompson to try to pull a person from a burning vehicle or a terrible accident? Did you ever think about that much, before this actually happened? I know you mentioned about your dad, but that hey, would I be able to do that if I come upon an accident like that?
I've always felt like I could make a difference, physically or intellectually. Figure something out, figure out a problem. But yeah, in an emergency like that, things happen so quickly. You don't really have a whole lot of time to dwell on decisions. You have to make it and execute. Yes, sir.
What about your military training? Was it a factor? How did it play into this, Jeremy?
I think the military teaches a lot of resiliency. We're probably not as good at it today as maybe we once have been. Some people may argue with that, but I think back in your time, I think maybe we were built to be a little bit more resilient, both as a society, as a country, and as a military. But yes, I think the training that we get, basic training especially, and then unit level training. When you've got good non-commissioned officers in your ranks who teach you what right looks like, you cling to that, and you want to be a part of something bigger than yourself if ever given the opportunity.
Got to be a factor. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
I know most people would call you a hero when they read about or hear about what you did on that fateful day in July of 2013. How does that make you feel when people call you a hero?
Now, I would argue that anybody that's ever had the opportunity that I've been given doesn't necessarily like the word hero. I know many men, I think most of them you and I have in common, that have done much more gallant things than I have, more valorous actions than I have. But do I think those men are heroes? I absolutely do. But I think when you're the one put in the spotlight and the label or the attachment is on your name, as an individual, it's something that something you really don't reflect on a whole lot.
Going back to talking about how the military was a factor, most people that I talk with, when you ask them if they feel like they're a hero, they don't feel that way. They just like, well, it's part of my training. That's what I was trained to do, that sort of thing. So
you feel like you're doing your job. I think for those men or women who find themselves in critical incidents on the battlefield, just like that day, that car wreck, you're presented with a problem with an issue, and you make a decision and you execute it, and whatever unfolds after that is after that. It's not something you planned for necessarily or that you asked for. It's just something that you made a split-second decision and responded to and tried to make a positive difference in it.
So you've had no lingering effects. Your hands are okay. You don't.
No, sir.
Got all the glass out. Right?
Totally
That
good.
sort of
Yes,
thing?
sir. Yeah, just a few days.
Right.
Few Band-Aids got
Right.
me in shape. Yes, sir.
You're well again. Yeah. Okay, Jeremy, tell us about your present duties and where all you've served in your military career, 19-year career so far.
Yes, sir. So I started right here in Huntsville, Alabama, the 1st Battalion, 20th Special Forces Group, and deployed with that unit to Afghanistan from '02 to '03. We ran the North Afghanistan Combined Joint Special Operations Task Force mission. When I returned from that deployment, I got to recruit here in North Alabama for the National Guard, specifically at first for Special Operations, because as you may or may not know, the 20th Special Forces Group headquarters is headquartered out of Birmingham. So we have a large presence for that unit here in the state of Alabama. But I served in recruiting for a number of years on the full-time Title 32 AGR status, and a few years ago was offered the opportunity to take a senior intelligence position at the 111th Ordnance Group Explosive Ordnance Disposal Unit. And that's down near Fort Benning, Georgia, Opelika, Auburn, Alabama.
Okay.
And my family and I moved down there for a couple of years and worked that position. And about a year ago, transferred back to the 20th Special Forces Group at the Group Support Battalion in Gadsden, Alabama. And we're standing up a new military police brigade headquarters here in Decatur. It's not even an active recognized unit yet, but we're filling it. We've got personnel, and we're already doing our IDT weekends, training scenarios, and we expect that thing to be stood up in 2021. We'll be doing a patching ceremony in Decatur to activate the unit in August of this year.
Jeremy, you've been involved in a lot of things involved
Yes,
with the Army. What's your most enjoyable thing so far? I mean, about what you've been doing.
Are you talking about from an operational perspective?
Yeah, and what all thing you've done, like you've worn several hats
Yes,
in
sir.
the Guard so far. What's been the most enjoyable?
Yeah, I think probably my time with the 20th Special Forces Group. You know, it's a different unit with a different mission, and we got to do some really neat things as a unit. The fact that I've not spent my entire career in that unit has opened other doors, other windows of opportunity. One of which got me on the executive council for the Enlisted National Guard Association. And at the state level, I was pretty quickly identified to be the legislative director. So I was following state law as it applies to military advancement or benefits. Well, then I started participating at the national level a few years back and was elected into the secretary position for the Enlisted Association of the National Guard of the United States. So that's probably one of the better accomplishments I've had so far.
Quite an honor. Yeah.
I appreciate that, and I think so. It allows us to go talk to our House and Senate representatives in D.C. and at the Pentagon to let them know where we stand as a 54 states and territories National Guard element and how we can better be supported to accomplish our mission.
How has the Army changed in your 19 years that you've been in service? How has the entire Army, in your opinion, changed?
Yeah, so I think I've tracked the Army for a number of years. You know, I was a very, very interested individual in the Vietnam era. So read a lot, watched a lot of documentaries, movies, and stuff like that on that because, you know, early '80s kid. That was the most popular.
And your uncle
conflict.
served there.
Sure,
Yeah.
and grandfather.
Right.
So that was where my interest developed, and I've monitored our status as a military since that time. And when I came in, I think you know, we always reflect back and say, well, was it harder then than it is now? And I think everybody's answer is always yes, but I think we have a responsibility to maintain a high level of discipline, structure, and order to be functional in a complex combat
It's
environment.
ever changing.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. You know, technology is advancing. We're a technological warfare element at this point.
Yeah.
You know, we've got drones and satellites, and the technology never stops or slows down. So it's just a matter of staying out in front of it and being relevant, keeping yourself relevant.
How's the Army National Guard changed you?
I think it's given me an opportunity to develop professionally. I think maybe if you talk to some of the guys I worked with in my younger days, and maybe hopefully this applies to every one of us, but I was probably a little bit more carefree, maybe a little more reckless, excited to get a job done, but we don't always listen to our elders like we should.
Oh,
I heard somebody tell me the other day that we keep old men around for a reason.
Yeah.
And I believe that. So.
I understand. Do you still have to travel a lot?
I'm traveling more right now than I have been in a while, and obviously through my affiliation through the national office of the association. But I haven't traveled a lot as far as military travel.
Now you've been overseas, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
That's right. You mentioned that earlier. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
We're all overseas. Have you?
Yeah. So when we flew out, we went through Germany, Turkey, Uzbekistan. A lot of people don't know it, but I think it's been declassified since then. Many books written about it. But Karshi-Khanabad, Uzbekistan, was a place they called K2, and
It's hard to pronounce, isn't it?
yeah, Karshi-Khanabad, Uzbekistan. So that was just north of the Afghanistan border, and it was a good location for us to stage and run operations out of North Afghanistan.
What year was that? That was
02, 03. 5th Special Forces Group actually stood that up in November, December of 2001.
Now you served with a lot of soldiers during your career. Do you still stay in contact with a lot of them? You served at different bases and different organizations.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
That's one of the neatest things about being in the military is developing relationships with other service branches and stuff. So we had Air Force tactical air control parties who were very instrumental in getting close air support when we needed it to get ourselves out of sticky situations. And I remember thinking about those guys being so tactically and technically proficient. I was amazed by their ability to get aircraft in the area on time and on location. I've stayed in contact with a couple of those guys, and I think it's really neat anytime I get to interact with them, whether it be through social media or by phone. But one in particular has gone back to become a C-130 pilot at this point.
Okay.
And that was a big advancement for he and his family. So he went from enlisted to commission, and that's always neat to watch.
Guys and ladies in the military, a close-knit group. You know,
Absolutely. Yes, sir.
Try to stick up for one another and
Yes, sir.
help one another out and stay in touch. Okay, Jeremy, tell us about your family. You and your wife have 2 children, I believe. Talk about your family.
Yes, sir. So I met Lindsay in 1998.
She's from Lincoln County?
She is from Lincoln County. She had participated in our county fair beauty contest up there, and caught my attention. We started talking and developed a relationship over about a 5 or 6 year period.
Yeah.
I was unwilling to commit because I had other things that I wanted to accomplish before obligating to a marriage, but
And she understood this?
she did. She hung in there.
Good.
She was a trooper. I think that's what led to us getting married.
Good.
But she stood by. As you know, Special Operations is a very information limited organization, and they don't push out a lot of information, and you have to be blood relative to get it. And we had immediately gotten remobilized after coming off that 02, 03 deployment, and we were not yet married. And I remember her expressing a very emotional concern that she didn't want me to deploy again, not being more married, because she wasn't included in some of the information channels. And so we got married in January of 2004. We had our first kid, Grady, in 2007. He turned 13 yesterday.
Wow.
And Eden, our little girl, is 7. She'll be 8 in April.
Now talk about, Eden had some health problems when she was first born. Talk about that and how your wife got involved in
Yes,
that.
sir. She was born here at Huntsville Hospital, and took on a lot of amniotic fluid as she was born. She was a full-term baby. She was perfectly healthy with the exception of the birth, which was by C-section, elected C-section. And she took on a lot of fluid, which put her in the neonatal intensive care unit on life support for approximately 13 days. That was an emotional time for my family, but I think we took it pretty well. Knowing, having a background in the medical field, I felt like she was in good care and that she would be fine eventually. But Lindsay was really touched by what she saw in the neonatal intensive care unit here in Huntsville, and she went back to school after that to become a neonatal intensive care unit nurse.
That inspired her.
It did inspire her, yes.
Yeah, yeah. And how's your daughter doing now?
She's doing very well. She has gymnastics tonight, as a matter of fact, in Moore's Mill.
Keeping mom and dad busy.
Yes, sir. We never slow down. I think I mentioned that when I first got here this morning. We never stop.
What about your son Grady? Does he ever talk about maybe going in the military, or
He's
maybe in his future?
Super interested in the military and the weapon systems and what it is we do to defend this country.
Yeah.
I've tried to raise both our kids to be patriotic citizens, and he's as good as they come when it comes to being a patriot and an old soul. But I don't know. I don't know if the military will be for him. I'm not going to push him toward it, but obviously if it's something that he's drawn to or called to do, I'll support it 100%.
Sound like a proud dad.
I am very proud of Grady. He's
now tell
special.
us about your wife. What she's doing now. She's no longer in the neonatal business,
right.
Associated with that.
She absolutely misses it. But about 2 years ago, she came to me and she said, "Jeremy, I really want to apply for DOD out of Huntsville. There's a lot of good opportunity in the national defense arena."
Yeah.
And I said, I want you to do what you want to do. Whatever motivates and inspires you, that's what I want you to do. So she applied to multiple locations, and she got hired with Foreign Security Assistance here in Huntsville.
Does she have to travel a great deal?
She has been traveling quite a bit, and but we've managed it okay. It's so far it hadn't.
Can't you
proven
take
to
a
be
sergeant first class along with her on some of these trips?
We actually went to their national conference down in St. Petersburg, Florida last year, and that was the first time I was ever surrounded by a large variety of foreign military personnel in their dress uniforms in the lobby of a hotel. It was actually a little bit awkward, but we adjusted to it pretty good.
Sure.
I think it's a neat opportunity to get to know people.
Fantastic. Best of luck to her. Jeremy, any thoughts of retirement and what you might do following life in the military?
So
you got 19 in now. So.
Yes, sir. So I'm fast approaching a decision. Obviously you get to retire at 20 years, drawing half your base pay. And that's a really good benefit for having completed 20 years military service. Over the last couple years, I've become extremely concerned for the direction our country's going in from a policy perspective. And I've gotten involved, as you know, through the association at the national level, through the House and Senate, shaping up some direction on military affairs or international affairs. But I'm potentially entertaining a political arena occupancy at some point. And I don't know at what level right now, but I think if I'm able to run for a position and get elected, then maybe I can make a difference in the couple of years that I have to offer. If that doesn't work out, I've always got the law enforcement and military background. I could probably do something pretty lucrative here in Huntsville.
You have experience in several areas, so
yes, sir.
I think you'd find something. Well, the best of luck in a possible political career. Yeah.
We'll see how that goes. Like I said, I think maybe in the next 18 to 24 months we'll start showing what direction that's going to lead.
Got plenty of time to think about it. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Now, some of your thoughts, from your recruiter days, may come out in this. What advice would you give to young people who are thinking about joining the military or considering a career in the service? What advice?
Yeah, that's always an interesting question for me, because I may not have been the most in-tune student in elementary, junior high, and high school. So I tell kids, if you're going to school just to be present at school, you're missing the boat. You really need to embrace what's being taught and take the extra initiative. We've got phones, so we've got immediate access to Google and other search engines at this point. If you're interested in something, whether it be a previous president or how policy has been developed over time, Google it and get to know more about it, and do the best you can to help shape this country in the direction that our Constitution was originally written to carry us forward. Don't rewrite the Constitution. Don't try to overanalyze it and reshape it. honor it for what it is. It's carried us for several hundred years now, and I personally believe it's the best document ever written, short of the Bible.
Right.
And we need to really reflect on that and make ourselves.
Learn all you can.
Yeah, get ourselves in a position to make that difference.
Yeah.
But don't fight what's already proven to be good. Tell people, just be good to people. You know, we're very polarized right now as a nation.
Yeah, that's
and,
true.
And we have a responsibility to be good to one another, regardless of what your policy beliefs are.
Well, would you agree, Jeremy, that not everyone is meant for the military? I mean, you know, it's less than 1% or 2% that serve in the military.
Yeah, it stays right around that 1% mark out of our total population eligible. I can tell you, there's been things that people have been disqualified for at the military entrance processing station that I never would have guessed. But yeah, everybody's not going to make it, Tom.
Right.
You could want the military with all your heart, and it just may not be for you when you get to MEPS. You may not make it through that medical screening process,
And there's other ways to serve your country or
absolutely,
your community,
yes.
or be involved in that sort of thing.
Absolutely, yes. There's Department of Defense contracting. There's Department of Defense employment. There's so many avenues that you can support and defend, you know, the country, but it doesn't necessarily have to be through military service. But I encourage it. It's an absolute avenue for professional development and challenging you as a person.
You get to travel, you get to see the world.
Absolutely, yes. Even in the National Guard here in North Alabama, I've been around the world, and I reflect on that a lot, and I'm very appreciative of it.
That's one of the things I enjoyed about my time in service. You get to see much of the world. Otherwise, I would not have had that opportunity.
I tell people often, if you live to be 100 years old, and most of us won't, you've lived a very short life. So you have to analyze, where are you at right now in life? What have you done with it to this point, and what do you plan on doing with it for the time you have left?
Excellent point, excellent point. Jeremy, you've been on the board of directors of the Military Heritage Commission here in Madison County, and still do a great deal of work for our organization. And I want you to know we appreciate all that you do.
I appreciate that.
You're also a member of the Hall of Heroes, and what has that experience meant to you?
So I remember being approached by the commission. I was actually an active member, as you
Right.
know, at the time. It was very awkward for me because as a member, I was supporting the Military Heritage Commission from the perspective of just being a local soldier, trying to do good things for the community and the people who serve it. I never anticipated a Valor Award or a situation that would lead me to being presented with a Valor Award. So to be in the Hall of Heroes is an absolute honor, to stand beside men like Mike Rose, who I was fortunate enough to be asked to be his escort. We've gotten to know each other, we've got each other's numbers, and I have a lot of respect and deep-rooted respect for men like Mike Rose and the many others, Mike Durant, who we've inducted over the years.
Yeah.
And to be among that class of men is extremely special for me.
Special people involved.
I think so. Again, you know, it's not something you anticipate, but an absolute honor to be among those men.
Well, you deserve to be there as well. So
thank you. I do appreciate that.
Yeah. Jeremy, I want to thank you for participating in our oral history interview series and allowing us to preserve your military experience for the people of this community. And thank you, sir, for your service to our country.
You doing this.
Appreciate that very much. Now, if you'd like more information about this interview or the Military Heritage Commission, contact the Madison County Military Heritage Commission website at mcmhc.us. I'm Tom Kennemer. Thank you for being with us.